Welcome to the New South Wales Rugby League Referees Association next series of interviews, and today we're thrilled to be able to bring to you two of the great life members of the association, Mr. Ian McCall and Mr. Max Dunn. Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much. Great invitation.
Great to be here. And Ian, you're one of the legends of the New South Wales Referees Association, mainly because of all the roles you've taken on in the association. But before we get to those, I want to know a little bit about Ian McCall in his early days. Was he a rugby league player?
I was always, basically, I started at school games, and worked through along the road at all times, and I thoroughly enjoyed my career, and
And what position did you play when you played rugby league? Were you a hooker or a fast winger?
Somewhere in between, fast, not a fast runner, but yeah, I could run pretty well. Yeah.
And whereabouts was that? What area did you grow up in?
Parramatta.
The Parramatta area. And yeah. Was there a particular club you played for?
Geez, that's a...
Was it Wendy?
Wendy.
Or Parramatta Maras?
Oh yeah, Parramatta Maras, as a schoolboy, yeah.
Excellent. And then you went from playing into coaching? Did you coach the kids? Because I know you're a school teacher. You probably coached as well.
I wasn't. Yeah, I suppose I did a little bit of coaching, but some things took me away for a while, and I came back again, and here I am. But that's.
There weren't wild women that took you away, were they?
No, well, better be a little bit careful here.
Now, Max, you've known Ian obviously for a long time, and obviously a guy who you admired coming through. And tell us a little bit about your relationship with him.
Well, I started in 1966. Ian wasn't chairman then, he wasn't that old. No. But I had a bit to do with him. As far as chairman, I thought he was a very good chairman. In his 14, 15 years as chairman, and at that time also I was treasurer, so we were on the executive together. And I can always remember one meeting, one rowdy person up the back wouldn't shut up. Who was it? Your old man.
My old man?
Yeah, what did he do? Go. He didn't want to go, but he went. So the first person I know to reject his arm out of the meeting.
Well, show a little bit of a little bit of discipline up there. That's fantastic.
He got in trouble when he got home.
I can imagine.
The School of Arts at Wentworth was a breeding ground for like not younger referees, but
a lot of old mates. Macintoshes and all the places being grey.
Yeah. Because Parramatta's been a really strong association, haven't
they? Yeah, right from the beginning. Yeah.
Who are some other referees that come through Parramatta?
John Bird?
Yeah, Sean Bird. Yeah.
Darky, Alexander.
Yeah.
Another one of your breed.
Yep.
Alexander.
You got to touch. You got to touch.
Yeah, Johnny Connor.
Yep. I got to touch up too. Yeah.
With the colour.
But I think back in my era, where there was a lot of people coming into Sydney, and that's where we sort of stuck people, because we did have a very strong competition between Penrith and ourselves. You know, we were up near the top, and they got a lot of referees that went through Parramatta and refereed.
They've all got a story about how we became referees. And why did you become a referee? How did you become a referee?
My father was my first person to referee.
He was the first president, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the president. And I suppose he had a good time. Like Yeah,
that's how the Darky started off.
Right.
He was called Darky,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then in Parramatta there's an award called the Darky
Yes,
Royal
yep.
Trophy, you know.
That-
He wouldn't take any muck around either.
No. That's good. 1965 you joined Parramatta Association,
Oh, yeah.
became a referee, and 6 years later you were president. So the DNA must have run through strongly
Through
there.
the blood,
You
yeah.
didn't depose him as president, did you?
No, I don't
A
know.
couple in between.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
That
Patterson
happened.
was in the middle of it, I think.
Yeah.
And you were president there of Parramatta Referees for 14 years, which is quite a long
Yeah.
period of time.
It was a good time.
Yeah, good time. And,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that's the thing, isn't it, about the past, that people talk about the good times.
Yeah.
A bit of socialisation
Yeah.
would be there.
No, I think, I don't know if it was just Parramatta, but the ones that were president had moved on and all gone to grade.
Mm.
There was Alan Shortall, he was one, you know, and Ashley Klein was, but he wasn't the president. But we've got quite a few people that are around at the moment, you know, that come through there.
Like Frank Rudd.
Frank Rudd.
Rudd, he
I
was
don't know how Frank Rudd is, but Frank Rudd's still going.
is he's still alive? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's still
Yeah,
going.
still
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, jeez.
Everybody used to love to go to meetings because Frank was a greengrocer.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it was a raffle.
Yeah. So one of the main things about you, Ian, is that you've been awarded a number of what we call gongs for the work that you've done. The first one you received in refereeing was a life membership of
Yes.
Parramatta referees in 1975. So that must have been a great honour only 10 years after you joined.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty lucky. Like I had my father always somewhere in the
Yep.
vicinity or
Advising.
advising out of the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he was good. He was good to me. When I lost him, I lost him.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So in that same year, grade came knocking. The temptation to come into grade came in 1975. How did you feel then? I know that for all of us it's been a big feeling of fulfilment to be graded, but it must have been a great honour for you then too.
Yeah, I can't remember that. There would have been a number of people go in at
Yes.
the same time, sort of thing. So, and yeah, so that was a pretty.
I think it's because of all the work he'd done.
Mm.
He
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
when I wasn't president, it was always in the background doing it.
Yeah,
His nose in somewhere, you know.
yeah.
And those early days, 1975 was a period in the game where, of course, Eastern Suburbs had won the grand final that year, 38-0. Which was a tremendous effort by them. Some great players of that era, the Beechens, the Brasses, the Ballasties. Your first year in grade, of course, would have been on the lines in third grade. Was it a big change, a big jump from doing junior footy into grade?
Yeah, it was pretty.
I think it's just the honour,
Yeah,
getting up
Yeah.
there, you know. That's what you strive for in the district.
Well,
It's not to be a
that's right,
district
yeah,
referee,
yeah.
it's to hop into the grade. Because we had, at that time, we had quite a few of our people in grade, so it was an honour to be with them.
So for the next 7-8 years, you ran the lines, and did you run any centres in
We did some
grade?
third grade.
Some third grade
Yeah,
centres?
yeah,
It was
yeah,
called third
well,
grade,
yeah,
So I did a few.
yeah.
What was your
I never-
favourite ground to run at?
Not Cumberland Oval.
Yeah. Couple of
No, not your least favourite, Cumberland. What was your favourite ground?
Well, I'm not too sure. Well, Cumberland Oval was the Parramatta sort of.
Yeah, the big old grandstands. I think it's
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
than
How would you think it'd compare to the grounds today? Cumberland Oval.
You
Well,
had
you know,
a slip that was a bog.
I remember that last game there would have been in 80, was it 1980, or where Manly played Parramatta. I think John Gosher refereed the game, and it was 22 all, I think it finished up. Because Manly and Parramatta were great opponents in those days, in the early 80s.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think back. Yeah. When the last game of Cumberland Oval, I remember vividly because they burnt the bloody grandstand down.
They did. They won the grand final that year. So it must have been 81. 81 was last year. And after they won the grand final, I thought to go back and celebrate and burn the grandstand. So they had to build a new ground, didn't they? Because they destroyed the other.
It was too big an oval to really get a lot of atmosphere from it. You know,
So the graded career or the graded pathway led you to even further honours when you became president of the New South Wales Referees Association. And the New South Wales Referees Association haven't had a great number of presidents, so it's a long-term job, and in fact you held the role for 15 years. So there must have been great times, and during that period, that's when the sponsorship came in.
Yes.
The TNT sponsorship.
Yeah, that was pretty horrendous. Actually, it was a really good time in my life anyway. You had the Bill Petleys and all those people.
And one of the things you did, Ian, was that you brought those, what we call associate members, into the graded ranks. Because of the work they were doing, the members felt under your guidance that they should be recognised as associate members, and they're still in our list, even though they're not with us today. But it certainly was a big turning point, getting that sponsorship.
I think it made a hell of a difference to referee. You know. I've still got 2 white towels at home with TNT. Why would you give a referee a white towel?
I know. Some people would say, why would you give a referee a towel anyway?
The crime.
Exactly right. So back in those days, you were surrounded by some great people. I remember when I first got graded, Frank Walsh was secretary, and then after that, Les Matthews came on. It's sort of been a role that's attracted some quality people, both as president and as secretary.
Walsh, he was around for a few years,
Yeah, he was. Now, Eric Cox is a name that we all, and both of you, of course, have been recipients of the Eric Cox Medal. Ian, you won that medal in 2012, and the Eric Cox Medal is given to someone who keeps on giving. So in your position as president, long after your life membership, you continued to give to the New South Wales Referees Association and won that medal. And Max, you won it
a couple of years later.
Yeah, a couple of years later, 2014.
The black. You
have to keep the racism.
So Eric Cox, of course, was, as I started to say before, was somebody that had the association at heart. And not everybody agreed with everything that Eric did, but for those people who he took an interest in, it was certainly very worthwhile to be in his stable. In the stable.
Yeah, that says it all, really.
You were in there, but you weren't in there.
Well, you probably couldn't have been in there because of your role, but certainly, you know, it's one of those things that in any organisation, there are people who get on better with some people.
Eric was very good. He was fair.
Yeah.
There was no crap.
I think
got it or you didn't have it, you know, and if he wouldn't muck around,
No.
you were going, you were gone. Didn't fiddle around, like, oh, I don't know. No, it was...
I had a lot of time for Eric. A lot of people didn't, but that's one
life.
side and that's the other side.
Exactly right.
That was his... Well, I can remember talking, I think it was after my Eric Cox medal, to the brothers, his son.
Yes.
And they said when they took the picture first down to the boat to have it made, they said, haven't you got one with him smiling?
No. There weren't any of those. No. Well, both Chris and David have been great supporters as well. They come down to the meeting to present the medal each time. So. And if you put, they're sort of half of Eric each, aren't they? If you put them all together, you'd get almost the exact likeness of Eric. So it's great that his memory lives on. Now, get to your refereeing career on the field. Graded, as we said, in 1975. 1979, you did your first touch judge, Australia and Great Britain.
Yeah.
Would have been at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would have been a great honour.
Yeah.
that
Great
day.
honour. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
What were the Poms like to referee?
They talk funny. Like
They do talk funny. They say that about us too. funnily enough.
No, that was a great time for the whole lot of that part of my life. In the football.
Yeah, so pretty much for that 5-year period, save for a couple of games that you didn't get, you were considered to be among the top 2 touch judges in there. That
We
period.
were a double, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
who did, Max.
You and Thompson.
Yeah, Max
yeah,
Thompson.
It was for a few years.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just one off. It went
No.
on for a few years. I know I did.
Yeah, but it makes everybody else,
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's it. So you come from Parramatta as well, you know, you look up to them.
In 1980, Ian, you did the touch judge in the grand final. That would have been the Roosters and, Canterbury and St George, would have that been? But then the 1981 season was probably the most noteworthy because you did the Origin in 1981, would have been at Suncorp Stadium or at Lang Park. But then the grand final, but prior to the grand final was probably the most notorious brawl in the history of rugby league. That was Newtown and Manly. Johnny Gosher was the referee, and you were on the line for that game.
Yes.
What are your memories of that game?
Right from start to finish.
They didn't like each other, did they?
No.
Because the story went that both Rhodonicus and Boyd with Manly and
Yeah.
Rhodonicus with
That'd be a good
Newtown, were stirring each other up, saying they're going to start the stink. They're going to start the blue, and of course, you didn't need a cattle dog call, did you? They were just into it.
Robbie Rout.
Yeah. And there was a incident in the game, the big brawl, where 2 players were sent off in there. Steve Bowden for headbutting and fighting. He didn't have the heart to send off the Manly player, did he? Because he had no face left. Didn't want to go and see it in the mirror. But he got hammered. And then, of course, Terry Randall was sent off, I think, on your report for kicking.
That's terrible. You don't kick a bloke on the ground.
No. So, Bowden missed the grand final, of course, because Newtown made the grand final. He missed the grand final. The relationship you had with the referees at the time, of course, John Gosher was the referee in that game.
Top referee.
And then, of course, Kevin Roberts in your next grand final in 1984. He was the grand referee in that game.
Great referee. Kevin
Different
Roberts.
styles of referees, weren't they? But
Different
but
styles.
obviously you enjoyed refereeing with touch judging with both of them.
Yeah.
What was Kevin's characteristics? What can you remember of Kevin Roberts?
Well, I'm not a bit hard to say. So he had it all. Like, I mean, he didn't make many mistakes. Let's say like that. I don't recall that at all. But
Kevin was the respect from the players.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what Kevin said, whether it was right or wrong. It was how high to, and he just had it. But, I don't know if they've got much nowadays. But he had the respect, and I think that's what...
What do you think that was, Max? Why do you think he had that respect?
Whether it was through the police association, he's working against the policeman, I don't know. But he just, from the start, he just had it and it was there. The blinky.
But he was a good bloke too. Like, I mean, he didn't suffer fools.
No.
And I think that those things he carried on through his career in the police force and all those things. So.
Well, he's probably the person that I respected most when I came into grade. Well, both John and Kevin, because they were the top referees at the time. But Kevin was always a guy who would stay back after training too. You know, he'd always want to talk to the young guys coming through.
Yeah.
And he did it without fear of being, giving information to someone who's going to come and take his place. He never had that fear. And I think that was something that stood out too, that didn't matter where you were on the pecking order, Kevin was always there to have a chat with you.
As I say, he's always friendly, he'd have a chat to anybody. You know, he's very helpful.
So the game today, and it's changed a lot,
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know,
That's
both
right.
on and off the field.
Yeah.
You're now the co-patron, or have been for a long time with Doug Winton, I think about 18 years as
Yeah.
co-patron of the association. 1995 you became life member of the New South Wales Rugby League. That would have been a great honour to become a life member of that.
I just wish my father was still alive.
Yeah. He'd be looking down proud of you.
Yeah,
Right.
he'd be up there, mate,
Yeah. Yep.
hanging over the edge.
Yeah.
Ready to yell at you if you stuffed it up.
He was partial to taking the odd ale.
Well, nothing changed in the generation.
Right.
Especially you and Mr. Connor.
Yeah.
Only two people I knew that could stand up there and talk to each other. Backwards. They never fell over. You never fell over.
Right.
So you were partial to the bit, but now, what's the tonic water now? Tonic water.
Yeah, tonic water.
So what are your thoughts about sharing your career with Ian? What have been the highlights?
I think just knowing him, you know, there's always, never anything was too much problem. You could talk to him when he was chairman and all that. And I think we've both been pals. He thinks I'm one of his, but I'm not really, you know. I think that helped a lot. You know, we stick together now, we go when there's things are on and I look after him,
Yeah.
as long as he doesn't go walking around somewhere when he's not supposed to.
Well, that happens to the best of us, doesn't it? Happens to the best of us.
I've had that experience
You're in a
quite
walk-
recently,
Walkabout.
actually.
You walk
That oval way down near
Birchgrove.
Birchgrove,
yes.
Yeah.
What did you go down there for? Just because that was where the first game was played? Just have a look one, was it?
I think Madeline said something to me that why don't you go and do it?
Rugby
And,
league was played.
Yes, it was.
And they'd have a look at it.
Yeah, so I was minding my own business, driving back on Sunday and got a phone call from the ground manager saying that I have a Mr. Ian McCall here. So
You weren't too worried about it, but were you?
I always get.
he was worried about Madeline. That she might be.
Yeah, no, I got lost.
No, it happens.
But, and that was only just this
Last Sunday,
recently, and it's just amazing that the people that came out of the woodwork to
It's great networking, refereeing.
Good job.
yeah.
Referee.
Yeah,
Why they? Because they knew you.
yeah.
yeah.
So they couldn't forget that face. It's been around a long time.
It's worn out two bodies. Now tell me about the game today, Ian. You watched the game still.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the game? Honest thoughts about rugby league in the 2000s?
Would I go to a game of rugby league today? Yes, I would. I think it's better than what it was.
Yep.
There's got some things that could be just a little bit more
Tweak.
tweaked.
Tweak.
Yeah,
Tweak.
yeah.
I think we all have rose-coloured glasses, don't we, in some regards.
Well,
Back in our era, back in
that's the
the
problem.
80s and 90s, that you think the game was better. The athleticism of the players these days. What about those wingers that score tries in the corner?
There'd be,
It's
there'd be
spectacular.
thousands of points less if they'd still had the stupid corner.
Yeah, that was one of the good rule changes.
Just playing the other day.
Yeah.
He was that far off the ground, that far outside the thing and reached down and put
Reach
the
down,
ball
put it
in.
down. Yeah.
So that's what that's done to that. You know. Mate, that's spectacular. But he's a bit like me. We do happen to now and then talk to the television when we're watching
Yes.
games. I think it's just, you know, you've been in it for so long. Processes we had, we thought were the best, and other people have thought differently. So
Yeah.
there's nothing much you can do about it.
No.
I know I'm on the appointment board at Parramatta, and we just had to change. If you don't change, you may as well give it away. You've got to change the thing about because we've got juniorettes, which have got to do that. Because when they go do that, because they can go up there. And if you don't change, well, you just give them away. You might not like it.
Well, you undersaw a great change in your period of president of the New South Wales Referees Association. A lot of change there, sponsorship, having our own budget came in, where we were able to...
Well, D&T did it. It all came through.
Yeah.
Through that, and that was a big good thing for the game itself. Yeah.
Yours in the sponsor, Sport End.
Yeah, Sport End, yeah.
Sport End.
Tiger.
Tiger. All those boots.
Well, if you're in the Eric stable, you got to visit Tiger a bit more often.
Where would you have to go to? Over there somewhere. Just put your bag up.
That's right, yeah. Obviously, no Jim.
I've still got the Tiger. Parramatta was sponsored by it too.
Yeah.
I've still got the shirt with Tiger.
Yeah. Oh, no, they're still in existence, Tiger. So what does Ian McCall do with his time now? How do you spend your time now? Family?
Family, yeah. Mainly family, I think.
Yeah.
You've got a daughter where they live down Asheville, don't they?
Catherine, I'm not quite sure where Catherine is at the moment, but she's somewhere.
But you didn't think we'd see a pandemic like this one?
Which is the oldest one? One's in Western Australia.
They
They go over there quite often.
Yeah.
Why do you go over there quite often for a week or two?
Well, Catherine.
Yeah. Why do they invite you over for?
Well, it could be gardening, painting.
Oh
yeah,
Painting,
I got a brush, and I paint. Yeah.
What, were you painting the plants?
No, he has the garage door.
Oh, the garage door.
He has a fortnight hobby job.
Oh, good.
It's holiday, a
Yep.
few little side jobs on the side.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Fantastic.
And walk the dog.
Walk the dog. Unfortunately, we lost the dog
This last
somewhere.
one,
Yeah, that was sad. His name was Woofie.
Woofie.
When I went,
Because
when
he
he ran the
couldn't
back of the
put one
car, I'd have Woofie on there.
Woofie couldn't bark, so he tried to go woof woof.
Anyway, it's been great catching up. Thanks for making the time, and Max,
beautiful.
for coming to see. You're graded member 666, Max.
Oh, yes.
A lucky number.
Not lucky. Lucky for some.
And of course, Ian, you're 601. Graded.
Okay, so
I
we're
got my
pretty
friend-
close
friend
together.
down
So you weren't too far apart, were you?
No.
No.
We've actually been following each other, haven't we?
Yeah, you have.
Got the Eric Cox a couple of years apart.
Fantastic.
We had a really good career.
We've been friends for as long as I say, from that first time to Parramatta, just about, you know.
Well, that's one of the things about Referees Association.
We just stick together.
You do stick together. Well, no one else would have us. But Max, thanks. Ian, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good, mate. Thanks. Yeah, good.
Thank you.